Welcome to USD 435 Update, and we're glad you're with us. We have some exciting news to announce. I have with me here Mr. Tom Schwartz, the principal at McKinley Elementary, and we are sitting in the new conference room at the high school, so we wanted to kind of show you that space as well. But with regards to the exciting news, last week the U.S. Secretary of Education, John B. King Jr., announced that McKinley Elementary is one of the best schools in the nation. And it just sends chills down my spine to say that, because I know the hard work that's gone on over there from our leader in that building, as well as the staff. And I just wanted him to be here to talk a little bit about that honor and maybe let you folks know what entailed and why they received that honor. So if you would just go through the process a little bit with the community and on how we received this honor.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Guy. Back in January is when we received word from the Kansas State Department of Education that we were nominated as one of the 5 schools in Kansas that would actually be nominated for that National Blue Ribbon Award. Then we went through a process where we had to put together quite a application, had to come up with the data that would support a nomination for that award. And so we went through that, and as the year progressed, we kept getting more reminders about more things that the staff needed to do or that we needed to fill out as far as information. As far as the State Department nominating McKinley, it was as a highly qualified school, which means that our scores had to be one of the at least top 15% in the state. So that's one of the qualifications, but there's a lot of qualifications for it. As far as what we've done in the past, maybe to help us, again, the scores are one of the first things that the State Department looked at, but then we were asked to put down some of the things that we do that's kind of unique, not only at McKinley, but actually in our district.
Right.
All the schools in the district, we've been working on a lot of things the last few years, and one of those things that we did probably about 6 years ago, I think, is we started with the MTSS reading project. And I know at that point, our staff really jumped on board, and I think it brought us together as a staff where we worked together well to try to accomplish that. That whole reading process where we wanted to give every child what they needed to help them be successful. Our staff started out that first year in our staff development time that we had together, we called it a cruise. And our team did that for a reason. We wanted to make sure that the staff understood that it was going to be a journey, but it was going to be a good journey. We could have done it any other different way too, and maybe not taken it that way, but we took a positive approach to it. And I think that really helped us as a staff know that we had to dig down and do something different, but also that it could be fun learning together on how we could deliver a good program for the students. So we carried that on, and our 30 minutes that each student goes through daily for their specific skills, it's called cruise time, because we want the kids to understand that that part of the day is a part of a journey for them too, on how they can become better readers. So we've kept that cruise theme going because we want it to be an exciting time, and I think that was part of it.
And just the idea of calling it a cruise makes it feel more positive than, say, an MTSS reading
time. Yeah.
Right. So very good.
So we did that, and then right after that, I know our school was awarded a grant for a technology-rich classroom, where we were able to use money from the State Department of Education again to start a one-on-one initiative with iPads. And as our 3rd grade team got together and went through that for a year, we started seeing the positive things that came out from one-on-one technology with the students and things that they could do then with those. And that kind of grew into what our district does now with our one-on-one initiative. So all the schools are doing it. but we just happened to be lucky enough to get that Technology Rich grant that one year that we could go ahead and see what could happen with our kids. So.
I think I remember that time period. I think I came into the McKinley staff on a Friday afternoon and said, hey, we've got this opportunity. What do you think? And by Monday, they had wrapped their minds around it, and they had ideas, and we're excited about moving forward.
Yeah.
So
probably one they had to really get on to that was me, the principal. Because I think you know me from way back too, that change wasn't always the thing that I loved. I kind of like everything in its spot, but over the years I've kind of grown, I think, a little bit there, and and it is. It's the staff has taken things like that and really gone with it. Same thing with the PBIS system we do now too. Our whole district again has been trained in that by Dr. Kathleen Lane 4 years ago through the State Department, and we all went through the training. All of our schools know what that's about, and we're all implementing it in some way now too. We just happen to work with Dr. Lane and KU staff and the State Department for the last 3 years, trying to get that into our schools, because again, the staff said, hey Tom, we've gone through the training, let's go for it. And so I have to give credit to the staff about how they knew it could be positive. So we worked together setting expectations, not only for the students, but for ourselves, on what we wanted to expect in different places in the school. And when the kids know what the expectations are, it helps them know how they should be behaving. And so that was the first step. We then took those expectations, and we have a ticket system that we use where the students, when they are showing those expectations, then we are telling them specifically. We tell them what they're doing that's right, so that they know why they're receiving the ticket, and then they can use those tickets and they can purchase things from our behavior store, which already this year we've handed out over 11,000 tickets. The staff has, and that's only in 6 weeks.
That's a lot of kids doing a lot of things right.
That's a lot of kids doing a lot of things right, and they've already bought almost 950 items from the store, so they know what to do with them too. And one other thing with that store that we're really proud of is the way that the students can not only buy tickets or use tickets to buy themselves things, supplies, but they can use the tickets to purchase cans of food. And then we bring those cans of food to the Abilene Food Pantry and give them to the food pantry so that the kids feel like they're giving back to the community.
Very good.
And I know last year almost 1,700 cans that they purchased to do that. So we're really proud of that too, that they see the connection between what they're doing and what they can do for the community. So.
And can't they also buy something for another classmate?
They can. It's a certificate that it tells them that they are a caring person or something, so they can purchase those and then hand those to other classmates.
Another classmate.
So.
Very good. Okay. And the behavior system we started, I think, 4 years ago. But I know I've talked on the TV program previously about how we pulled together a group of about 80 community members and worked through a strategic planning process. And beginning this behavior system really was a direct result of some of the conversations that we had in those community groups and providing students with life skills and social skills. And so that's when we had the opportunity to work with Kathleen Lane, and we took her up on that, and McKinley, just as along with the other schools in our district, have just really worked hard to put these positive behavior intervention systems in place. So very good.
Not only that, but we also started the social curriculum.
Yes,
we've been working on the
Mm-hmm.
positive action social curriculum, and we've been doing that district-wide too to help students and kids come up with those character traits that committee talked about were so important in this community. So that all came out of that.
So it takes an army to figure out what we need to do for our schools and our children in this community. So what else do you have for us? What's going to happen now with the National Blue Ribbon School?
Well, it just means we have to work harder. No, it's kind of a little pressure, but I know the actual award ceremony is in November. I know that you and Barb Britton, who is the board president, and then I and one of our teachers who was selected by the rest of the staff. I was not going to do that. So the rest of the staff selected another teacher who is Christine Barrett, who will be going to Washington D.C. In November. It's the 7th and 8th that we go through the ceremony of receiving our 2016 National Blue Ribbon Award certificate and the other things that we'll do there. There's lots of activities for 2 days that we'll be taking part in. So
it's the workshop opportunities and learning about other Blue Ribbon schools. How many Blue Ribbon schools were there in the state of Kansas?
In the state of Kansas, there were 4 Blue Ribbon schools. And nationwide, it was 325, I think.
Okay.
But four schools in Kansas.
All right. Anything else for the good of the group and the community?
Well, again, what we're doing is at McKinley, we're just trying to take those kids as far as we can, and I know it takes a lot of help with the parents. And we're trying to make sure that we're there for the parents and helping them as much as we can too, and trying to communicate with them. And then, I know the community is hearing about this through the kids and the parents too, and it takes a community that's always prided itself in Eisenhower and what Eisenhower meant to this country and this community and those big traits that were so important. So that's just part of the whole process, and I think that's what helps make McKinley a good place to be.
McKinley's a great place to be, but this is just one example of how good all of our schools are, and they've all worked very hard to implement some of the same things while McKinley was our leader, and we're learning from them. Everyone in the district is working hard for the benefit of the kids. So thank you, Tom, for joining us, and good luck with holding up to those expectations, I guess.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Guy.
You bet.
Ride on into Riddle's Western Wear in Abilene for a great selection of jeans, boots, Western styles, and name brands for the working family. Riddle's Western Wear for the cowboy or cowgirl and all of us. Opening a child savings account, buying your first home, or planning your retirement? Everyone is welcome at Great Plains Federal Credit Union. Great Plains Federal Credit Union, placing people before profits.
Century Business Systems provides local Savin sales and service, competitive pricing, and simplified solutions for all of Abilene's copier and printer needs.
Midway Bar and Grill on Old Highway 40 is your local stop, offering fresh food and a great time. Open 6 days a week for lunch and dinner. Come in or call ahead today and try one of the best burgers in the area. West Plaza Country Mart, your friendly community grocery store. Now with online grocery shopping for home delivery or in-store pickup. Call, click, or stop in today. Be the belle of the ball when you shop Abilene Bridal and Formal Wear, offering elegant evening dresses and tuxedos for all occasions. Abilene Bridal and Formal Wear, where dreams come true.
Well, we're back for the USD 435 update, and with me now I have Mr. Will Burton. He is our activities director and our athletic director, as well as the assistant principal. He's a busy man. I think I said last time we were on camera that he coordinates and more events than I think anyone else in this community. So we really appreciate what he does for our district, and the events are amazing. When I'm at an event like a football game and I see the number of football players on the field and the number of students in the band and the cheerleaders and the students in the pep section and the dancers and everyone who's involved in putting on a production like that and the number of kids we have involved, then I know that Mr. Burton is working hard, because that all stems back to the work that he does for our district. He is here today to talk a little bit about some information that he gathered as far as reorganizing our classifications. The 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A. A couple years ago, we divided 4A into 2 areas. Divisions. And so there's some speculation and some talk about change on that. So I asked him here to just kind of give the community an update on what that might look like. It's still in the discussion phase. It's not something that is set in stone yet, but he's going to visit with you a little bit about that.
Thank you. for the kind words and for this opportunity. A little background information. Abilene High School is a member of the Kansas State High School Activities Association, and that is a membership-driven group. It has an executive board and a board of directors that are made up of members of the school districts that comprise the schools that are members of the Activities Association. You are not required to be a member of the Activities Association. You pay dues to be that, and then it's a self-governing. They have an executive director and assistant directors that oversee each of the activities and interpret the policies and handbook of the Activities Association. But those are not the people that are making the decisions. Any decisions are derived from proposals that are generated by the member schools and go to the executive board after several layers of testing and feedback on things. So as our current system for classification is, like Dr. Guy said, it's a 6A, 4A, 5A grouping or pairing, where the largest 32 schools that are members of the Activities Association are 6A, then the next 32 largest are 5A, then the next 64 largest are 4A, next 64 are 3A, 64 for 2A, and then 97 are for 1A. And that is based off of your enrollment that you submit on September 20th to the state of Kansas. And each year, schools can fluctuate back and forth between various classifications. We are very solidly a 4A school. We're not going up and we're not going down underneath the current classification. If you looked at where we are right now, Abilene is school number 23 in the 4A, in the 64 schools that are 4A. So we are very solid in where we are at. A little bit different with classifications on football. Football classifications are done every 2 years to allow you to set districts and set your football schedule, since that's such an early sport in the year. But on odd number years, schools submit their 9, 10, and 11 counts and then that determines what classification for the 2 following years you will be in football. So last October, we submitted our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade count. We're determined to be a 4A Division I school for football, and that's how we're playing our football season this year and next year. Next October, a year from now, we will do the same thing again and set our classifications for 2 years after that in football only. All other activities are based off this year's hard count for 9, 10, 11, 12. So sometimes you hear people that are 4A in football but 3A in everything else. Well, that's because the count, when they gave their count for football, that's where they were, but they might have had a drop in population, so therefore they get reclassified with every other activity. That gets a little confusing, and there's been, for the last year and a half, the Activities Association has been doing a study, has formed a committee on the classifications of schools in Kansas. And what we start looking at is there's concerns over ratios between the highest level school and the lowest level school in the classification, and is that fair or not fair? When we look at 4A this year, the largest school was Mays South with 773 students, and the smallest school in 4A is Colby, and they have 264. So you're looking close to a 3-to-1 ratio within 4A between the largest to the smallest on student body size. So is it fair that they're competing for the same state championships and not necessarily the same manpower? It would be like taking our 526 students, and if we had to triple that, that would put us into a higher end 5A category where we would be competing on the same ratio. So those are the things that they're trying to figure out. Plus, for a state no larger than Kansas is in population, how many state championships should we be assigning for various activities? Should we have 8 state championships for football in Kansas? Well, that's up for debate, but that's where we are. We actually have 9 state classifications, I believe, right now when we went to 4A Division I and Division II. So those are the questions they're trying to work with. And I told you about the 32, 32, 64, 64, 97 on classifications. There is a proposal now that's going to go, that's going to be talked about in regional administrators meetings here in October, and that came from that committee the Activities Association formed. And the proposal is to move to, in football, 6A would be 32 schools, so that would stay the same. 5A would be 32, that would stay the same. 4A would be 32 schools, that would be the same as our current 4A Division I. 3A would become 48 schools, 2A would become 48 schools, 1A would be 35, and then 8-man Division I would be 50, and 8-man Division II would be 49. So there's 8 classifications, but they felt with the ratios and driven, the largest ratio that would exist is a 2.1 ratio, and that's in the 8-man Division II, where you have some school, the smallest school at 23 and the largest one at 49. So, you know, relatively close, just dealing with smaller numbers on that. For all other activities, 6A would go to 36 schools, 5A to 36, 4A to 36, 3A to 64, 2A to 64, and 1A to 117. And again, the ratios all come out to be around 1.7 on those, except the 1A, and it's a 5.63. But we're dealing with schools, again, from 23 to small to 98 large. So the breakup there is a little more difficult. What would that mean for Abilene? In football, there'd be no real change in football. For us, it would look exactly like what we're competing in right now. In the other remaining activities, we would remain a 4A school. We're solidly entrenched in that. The top 7 schools out of the current 4A system would move up into 5A, and we would be school number 16 rather than 23 in the 4A division if we use this year's enrollment. As far as it affects our league schools, Wamego would be a 4A school and Chapman would be a 4A school when you look at this year's numbers submitted for enrollment. Clay Center would become the largest 3A school, Concordia would be 3A, and Marysville would be 3A. So we would have a split of we'd have a 3-3 split between our 6 league schools. What would the playoffs look like for those? It would change. In baseball and softball, we would look to split the 36 schools up into an East-West division, and there'd be 18 teams in each division with single elimination bracket play to make the state tournament. Possibility of play-in games. And a lot of these are just proposals. There's nothing set in stone. Basketball, there would be groups of 9 with a play-in game on Monday of sub-state week, and then you would, out of those groupings of 9, you would be broken up into 2 sub-states that 1 advances out of each. So you get your 8 teams into the state tournament. This is very similar to what 5 and 6A are doing already in basketball. Cross country would be either 3 regionals of 12 schools with 4 schools qualifying for state, or 4 regionals of 9 where the top 3 teams qualify for state, and then there's some parameters for individuals beyond teams to qualify. Golf would take 12 teams still to state based off 4 regionals of 9 where the top 3 qualify. Tennis, because of the smaller schools, 3A and below, there's not a large number of schools that do have offer tennis. You would see a 1A through 4A state championship in tennis. 6 regionals with 9 to 12 schools in each, or 4 regionals with 14 to 20. That's not determined yet. Track, rather than 16 teams being at 16 schools being at a regional track meet, you'd have 9 teams to a regional, because you're back to 36 teams instead of 64 for that. Volleyball, there'd be 4 sub-states with 9 teams each. You'd use pool play at sub-state to send 2 qualifiers out of each sub-state to the state tournament. And we think that's a way that you can get a little more, instead of having stacked sub-states for volleyball where a lot of good teams go home, this is a better chance to get the higher quality teams into the state tournament. And wrestling, it would be 9 teams at a regional, and then the state tournament would, and it would be a one-day regional tournament, like 5 and 6A are right now, and it'd be a state tournament would be unchanged for 4A at that point. So
This is a proposal.
it is a proposal.
The likelihood something will change, you have any idea?
Well, my understanding of the voting structure of the Activities Association, if this would go to the executive board and the executive board wanted to take vote on this, I mean, they approve of it, but then again, it's a member schools dictated system, then it would go before the schools for vote. And my understanding is that 4 of the 6 classifications would have to approve it for it to become policy.
All right.
Abilene Chiropractic and Sports Rehab, now open in Abilene, using a wide variety of techniques, providing elite care for athletes and patients in everyday life. Call, click, or stop in today for an appointment. Paws and Claws, pets, supplies, and grooming. Your one-stop critter shop at 312 North Cedar in downtown Abilene.
Around here, we believe in local values like hard work, family time, or a fair price on reliable internet from a local company. That's why Eagle Communications delivers great local values, like a range of internet options to fit your family's needs. Fast and consistent enough to power everyone's devices at once. All at reasonable prices we're proud to offer our friends and neighbors. Ready for better internet? Give us a call or visit eaglecom.net and discover our local values today.
Now overall, just to kind of close on athletics in general and activities. You know, this is not just football. We were talking about
right. This is
other
anything
activities as well.
This is anything that's governed by the Activities Association. So
debate,
forensics, Scholars Bowl. You know, there's sports that we don't offer that they would cover. So it would be anything that the Activities Association has oversight of, if you're a member school of that.
And what do you see as the benefits of being a part of the Activities Association?
Well, it's the only way that we can offer the activities that we have.
Okay.
And it is an organization that when you become part of it, you know that you are in common goal with the other schools that are members of it. And you get the benefits of scheduling, and you get the benefits of their services. You get the benefits of being able to compete in postseason play.
Okay.
So.
And do they, I mean, I know that they have some rules and regulations with regards to different things that occur at a ball game.
Right. They have guidelines set forth for sportsmanship, decorum.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't tell you have to do exactly this, but they have guidelines in place for you to follow. So not every school looks exactly the same, but we're trying to work towards the same goal with that.
All right. Now just, I'm going to draw you out one more step and tell me, how does athletics and activities support student learning?
Well, we do believe that they are extensions of the classroom, and I talked last time that I was on the TV spot about the study done by the University of Kansas that just showed how dominating in data it was that students that are involved in extracurricular activities have a much higher academic achievement rate because they have buy-in, they have ownership, they have structure, they have commitment. And the data just shows whether it's band, whether it's choir, whether it's football, it doesn't matter. And they couldn't delineate what activity. It was just if they were involved in extracurricular activities, the scores on standardized testing were just phenomenally larger.
Very good. All right. Well, I want to thank you for all that good information.
Thank you.
And for everything you do for our activities and athletics in this high school and the community, and getting kids involved, because we are about academics, and having kids involved is part of that. So thank Will for his information, and I believe that's all I have for USD 435 update. Thank you for joining us.